Hello and welcome to Man's Model Moments. Today I'm going to be having a first look at another ICM new release, the Humvee M1097A2 in 1/35th scale. This is an instantly recognisable and very widely used vehicle in the US Armed Forces, with this being the base platform version. Opening ICM's usual sleeve-covered flip-top opening box, we have a single bag containing all the parts for the kit. The instructions, which will have the decals inside, and the familiar ICM paint chart. As we're used to by now, the instructions have a colour reproduction of the box art, a little bit of information on the vehicle, and the paint reference guide. We also have a QR code to go to the YouTube video instructions, something that's been universally acknowledged as a great innovation. Opening the booklet up, we have the decal sheet I suspected would be hiding in here, together with its protective paper. We'll look at these shortly. These first pages show the frame and parts layouts, and turning over we get into the construction as normal. This follows ICM's usual pattern of building vehicles, working from the base chassis upwards and progressing in a logical sequence from there. We do have an extensive number of decals to go into the main cab, as these directions have been missed in some other ICM kits. Here again we see more decal placement, and at the end we have our colour paint guides, and you're given two options, this green camouflage version and this desert one in overall sand. Here is the decal sheet, which is more extensive than I would have expected for this vehicle, and seems to feature things like alternate screens for on and off versions, which is pretty neat. There are also a host of small stencils and markings, and they're well printed with good colour and register as we usually expect from ICM. Onto the plastic, and this is the usual high standard we get from the Ukrainian manufacturer. There are plenty of examples of fine detail in the small parts, as well as the overall finesse executed in the larger parts. Things like the steering wheel are very well protected, and some of the parts are very small and fine. One thing I like in this kit is the main chassis is a single piece, and some of the finer elements are cast as part of larger pieces, as in the front window frame. As usual, the fine detail on the surface is very good, and this extends to both sides of the frame for parts that require it. Moving on to some of the main elements of the body, these are well cast with good detail, which echoes the construction of the real vehicle very well, with things like pressed metal strengthening stamps and the like. We then have two identical sprues covering duplicated elements like suspension, wheel hubs, seats, and so on. You also have a host of gribbly bits like toe eyes and the like, all of which show the same precision of casting as the other frames. Separately bagged within the main bag is the small transparency frame, which is the usual crystal clear quality as other ICM's transparencies, as we'll see when we look at the close-ups of this later. Last up are the tyres, which are also separately bagged within the main bag. These are nicely cast too, with a nice tread pattern that we'll also see in the close-ups. Now at this point of the video, I just want to thank all of my Patreon and YouTube channel members. I mentioned that I was going to put this mid-roll in future videos in my prior video on this, and I had to add a few more names onto the list since then, so thank you so much to all of you. Your help at this time is very much appreciated. If you are able to become a channel member, it really does contribute a huge amount to me being able to keep the channel going, and at the moment it's my preferred platform for support. So here is a close-up of that tyre, and hopefully you can see all the tread here. The tyres are firm but have a decent flex and are free from extraneous material, which can often be hard to clean up on rubber tyres. Onto the transparencies now, and the usual Swan-Morton test. As you can see, these are pretty much perfect, with practically no optical distortion. The headlight lenses are also really nice, and I still think ICM makes some of the best clear plastic out there. Here's that duplicated sprue again, showing all those small accessories in more detail. The suspension coil springs here are very nicely rendered, so it'll be important to assemble these precisely as they are split vertically. Here we have the seat pieces, and some really nice detail on the wheel hubs. There's also some nice surface detail on these pieces of the wheel assemblies, despite it being unseen in the finished model. A close-up of the main body pieces, and we can see what I think is the nicely detailed bonnet, or hood, together with this radiator cooling fan. As you can see on these main pieces, we again have some very nice surface detail. These are those pressed metal strengthening impressions I mentioned earlier. And the opening for the bonnet, or hood I should perhaps say, as it is American. Moving down the frame, we can see the pieces of the engine block and transmission, and more of that surface detail across the main pieces of the body. Here's that one-piece chassis, which I think is great for this size of vehicle and will really help in putting this together. Looking across most of the items on this frame, we can again see the high level of surface detail across the parts, with stamped, bolt and rivet detail all across the pieces. The fiddly bit sprue starts with this pulley and belt arrangement for the engine. Here's the steering wheel, which is very well protected, and with these it's best to cut the sprue away rather than trying to extract the part from it. You can see the finesse of these small items here. These parts are all in the exhaust assembly. Towards the bottom of the frame we have the outer front grills. And here you can see the delicate transmission drivetrain. More detail on the front window frame. More small pieces here like the exhaust manifold. And these extremely fine but well protected pieces, and overall you can see there is a wealth of finesse on display here. Whilst I was looking over this kit, I couldn't help but be reminded of Airfix's Ferret. They are similar sized, if very different vehicles, but the overall impression of this kit just left me with that in mind. This kit is around £36 RRP, but you can pick it up for about £33, about £10 more than the Airfix ferret. That makes it almost 150% of the price of that kit, but I think you are getting 150% of the kit for that increase. The detail included is much greater than that in the ferret, but it doesn't appear to be that complex as a build, more so than the ferret for sure, but the single piece chassis is going to be far easier than ICM's multi-component approach used in its larger trucks. Now the Humvee has never really appealed to me as a vehicle, but this is one of those kits where the execution of the kit itself is what makes you excited about making it rather than the subject. I certainly felt that I wanted to dive into the build when filming the unboxing, which is usually a good sign. In any case, my thanks as always to ICM for providing the review sample, and it's definitely another gold standard offering from ICM, which I don't hesitate to recommend. Now I'm going to go and build this little gem, and look out for the upcoming cargo carrier version which is due out later this year. That's all for this instalment of Man's Model Moments. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel for more like it, and share this video with others you think would also enjoy it. You can also follow me on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, and if you're feeling generous then I also have a Patreon, which is absolutely the best way of helping me to grow the channel and produce more content like this. With that, I hope you have plenty of modelling moments of your own, and I look forward to welcoming you on the next video.